Let's imagine I'm given a task by a client, which is to create a CRM system, customer relationship management system. Now, if I was an average software developer, what I'd start out with is maybe modeling the database, and then I'd create a project on my development machine. To this project, I would add all the required source files that probably needs to be compiled if I'm using C# before they can be executed. Then when the code reaches some threshold in regards to complexity, I'd probably want to have some sort of version control on it, so I'd add Git to it. Now that I have Git, I'd probably want to have an upstream as a backup in case my development machine is stolen or some bad shit happens. So I'd create a Git repository. Now I have a GitHub repository and a project on my development machine. And it would be beneficial for me to add pipelines and workflows to these projects, at which point now I have automatic continuous integration and continuous deployment into my development environment at the very least, possibly also a differentiation or a separation between a development environment where my customer could test the development features I added to it, and a production environment where the customer would actually have his production system up running. So now I have two environments. I have Git, I have workflows, I have pipelines. Obviously at this point I'd want to add automatic unit testing to the thing, because now I got pipelines that are triggered upon commits towards the upstream, and I want to verify that my code changes doesn't break other parts of the system. Then I'd want to add some sort of like integration testing, etc., etc. Now the code's complexity is so large, I need to hire 3 additional software developers. Now there are 4 software developers on the team, spending half of the day communicating with each other in stand-up meetings and God knows what else, grooming session. Now I want to have a process, right? And I might need Jira to track workboard items. And then I'd need a process. So I'd reach for something such as Scrum, right? To be able to manage my team. Now all of a sudden I have 4 developers running on top of each other, potentially, adding new features, each of them that somehow messes up each other's work. So all of a sudden the velocity of the project just plummets, right? And then, of course, since I have multiple developers, I'd probably want to have some sort of like, pull request merge policy, requiring 2 other developers to review all code before it's actually merged into the development branch, etc., etc., etc. Now, remember what the task originally was. It was to create a CRM system. Right now, let me show you how I would do that. Here I am inside of Cloudlet. So let's start out by creating a database. At this point, I'd probably actually create a database, a new database, and spend some time modeling it. I don't have time for that, so I'm just going to create a database called CRM, and then I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to switch to SQL view and tell OpenAI to create SQLite DDL schema for a small CRM system with 5 tables. Then give me insert statements that creates demo records for these same tables. Let's see what OpenAI returns for this prompt. So here we have customers, we've got orders, integer products, text, real order details, employees. It looks good. So let's just execute this guy, and then let's switch to table view, and let's do clear server cache, which refetches the DDL schema. And let's have a look at it. Here you can see the database. So now, of course, I'd spent time actually modeling the database, probably according to the customer's specification, but I need a database, right? So I just, had OpenAI create one for me. So now I have my database. Now I'm going to go to endpoint generator. Now I'm going to choose this database, and I'm just going to, now I can configure everything, right? But I'm just going to use the default configurations, which allows admin and root users to invoke every single CRUD endpoint towards my database. So that produced 1152 lines of code. Now I'm going to go into HyperID and actually add my business logic to my stuff. Where is it? CRM. Okay, so now let's say I want to have send email.post.hl. Now I want to add some description. Sends an email. Add from string, from email string to string to email string. So now I have an HTTP endpoint. Actually, I don't because I gave it. Yeah, I do because I gave it .post.hl as its last part of the file name. Then let me find the email action here. So name, that's going to be from email. Actually, it's going to be to, and then to email, and then from is going to be from email, and actually I need to do team@iniro.io, cut loud, because I'm using reply to from reply to email because I'm using SendGrid. Subject, let's add subject here too as an argument, and then let's obviously we're going to need body, right? Too. So I'm just going to assume they exist. Subject string, body string. Then let's do return result success. So now I've saved that file. Now I've added a business logic action to my module. Now I can go in here. Let's say the client wants to have this as an AI chatbot. Okay, now I can generate it. Let me first go back to machine learning though and create a type called CRM. And then let me choose its flavor being AI agent. Actually, let me do, AI agent is probably good. Then let me go back to HyperID, choose my module here, CRM, click the lightning icon, choose my CRM type here. And now what the system is doing, it's automatically generating RAG training data for every single hyperlambda file inside of this particular folder. I could add, tons of additional business logic. I only added the send email post guy here, but you can use low code and no code to, add a lot of really, really complex business logic anyways you want. Now, let's vectorize the CRM guy here. And this creates embeddings for it, of course. Then let's have a look at its training data, CRM. As you can see here now, okay, we got counts item, deletes item. Let's search for send email, see if we can find that guy, edit, looks good. The string, all arguments are mandatory. All arguments are mandatory. Right, save. And this updates the embeddings too. Now let's get a front end. AI expert system install. Yes, I'm sure. Front end is done. Click the front end guy, and I'm done. Now I'm going to log in with Google. So authentication and authorization is done. Then I'm going to choose my CRM guy here and ask the chatbot, what can I ask you about? Create records, read or list records, other actions, list all functions, Okay, let's see what the AI chatbot actually can do. So I'm done with documentation too. Okay, let's do list records. Right, documentation is done, right? List all customers. And as you can see now, it returns the demo data. It inserted at the same time it created a database. I want to create a new customer. Now it's going to hopefully come back and ask me customer ID optional. Okay, name Thomas Hansen, email thomas@gaiasol.com, phone 555-444-1234. Now, of course, if I list all customers now, Thomas Hansen is going to be in the database. So now let's say I want to send Thomas Hansen an email, right? I want to send Thomas an email. From name, John Doe. From email, john@doe.com. Subject, hi mate. Did you get the time to read my email? And there we go, email sent. And now if I check my email, you will actually see that I had an email. I want to emphasize it's not about emails and CRUD. These are just examples, right? I created a minimalistic CRM system, allowing me to perform CRUD towards my database and send emails, but I can add any complex amount of business logic as I wish. And I did it in like how many seconds? 180, 3 minutes or something, right? Now, why would I want to use Git on that stuff? It took me 3 minutes to create, right? So I mean, if the code is lost, I don't give a shit. Don't get me wrong, I can use Git, and obviously if the client comes back at 50 times for iterations and asks me to modify the project and add new features to it, some point in time, the complexity of the project would grow to the point where I actually need Git. But when I save those files at the end of the last video, it's in production. There is no separation between development environment and production environment, implying I don't need to have a production environment that is separated from my development environment because I'm saving straight to production. So when I've saved my file, I'm done. That means I don't need Git, I don't need a development machine, which means I don't need pipelines, I don't need workflows, I don't need CI/CD, which results in that I don't need unit testing, which results in that I don't need to hire 4 additional software developers to help me maintain the freaking thing, etc., 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 etc. And it all originates from one thing. I'm just saving shit straight to production.